Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So tomorrow is officially the 1-year anniversary of me starting to listen to audiobooks, and I wanted to make a video kind of talking about some of the favorite audiobooks that I've listened to over this past year. I've read a lot and listened to a lot. But these are some of the ones that have just stuck out to me. They're in no particular order because I love them all for different reasons. So yeah, with that being said though, these are ones that I just love the narration. I loved the production value, or I felt like it just made the experience so much better. Marae is on my lap currently. Yeah, hi. So if you see her head popping up, just don't worry about it. The first audiobook that I ever listened to is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. And this is a book I still think about. It's been a year since I've listened to it. And it was one of those books that I wanted to read. And so I read it, and I didn't realize that this book was going to have sound effects and a whole cast of characters or anything like that. And honestly, I feel like audiobook is the only way to listen to this book. I feel like you can read it physically, but I feel like it just doesn't hit the same because this book surrounds somebody with a podcast, and they do a really great job of kind of distinguishing the story portion as well as the podcast portion of this book. It just makes the whole reading experience so elevated, and like I said, I haven't stopped thinking about this book. It's a great book. I definitely recommend it, and if you are able to listen to this in audiobook form, please do it, because I think you'll enjoy this if you read it physically, but I feel like it's not going to hit as hard than if you read it in audiobook form. Alright, next up is a book that I've talked about a lot here on this channel, so I'm going to try and not repeat myself because I've talked about this with a couple of other videos, but of course I have to bring up The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I am not sure who the narrator is for this book, but whoever did the narration for Addie, they need a raise, because I loved how much emotion and kind of personalization they put into the character of Addie. The character of Addie her story is she is a girl that lives forever, but she's never remembered. The minute somebody leaves her line of sight, they do not remember her. And it's very interesting because, this, especially compared to None of This Is True, this book doesn't have this big production value. There's no sound effects or things like that. It's just basically what you would think of as a normal audiobook. It's just someone reading you the story. But the way that the narrator does this is it's almost like she is sitting in a room with you and she is telling you her life story, if that makes sense. And you feel so invested in what's going on. You feel like you can feel every emotion that she feels throughout the story, and you just feel so bad for her, and you are just so I don't know. I loved the way that the narrator did Addie's part, and just how she made us care about her. And I feel like if you can get somebody to truly care about your characters, then you've done an amazing job. So yes, really love the narration. Definitely do recommend this as an audiobook. I feel like it is such a fantastic read. It's a fantastic read no matter what, but I feel like an audiobook, it just made it even better. Alright, so this next one, I read this book in a day because I had to, because it was a book club book. It was the last day of the month, and I hadn't gotten to it yet, so I was like, I need to get to this. And I'm not one who usually reads books in a day. That's just not how I am. I've done it a couple of times, and it's just not for me. But I had to do it with this one, and I just loved these characters. So the book is Arrival Most Vile by R.K. Ashwick. I feel like this book is so underrated. It is a great rivals to lovers story. It's an MLM romance. It is hilarious. The characters in this book are hysterical. Like, they had me actively laughing during this. And their sense of humor is just so similar to my sense of humor. Like, this book was basically made for me, pretty much. And I think having, again, the narrations and the voices that the narrators would do in this book just made it even better. Because, like, you know, I'm sure, like, there's some times where you can read a book physically and you kind of think of the delivery of, like, how the characters are saying their lines, but to actually hear it and to hear the sarcasm and to hear the humor behind it, it just made it even better. And I am so glad that I enjoyed this reading experience so much, especially because I had to read it so quickly, and it was wonderful. I loved it. I thought it was great. I recommend this book so much. Again, these people give Nick and Charlie vibes from Heartstopper, so just know that. And yeah, please read this book. If you take anything away, it's to read this book. All right, this next one is one that is very similar to this last book, where, again, I'm not one who usually reads books super duper fast. I can, but I just don't, because I am such a mood reader. And it took me a couple of weeks to read, like, the first, like, 25% of this book. And then it got to a point where I just could not stop. And that is Binding 13. I know I still need to read the rest of this series. I know that. I understand that. But I just haven't yet. This book follows Johnny and Shannon. You know, and I will admit, Johnny's narrator's, like, accent is a little jarring at first. He has a very thick Irish accent, which did kind of throw me off at first, but then it ends up becoming very endearing, and, like, I end up really loving it. And so I fell in love with this book and with these characters, and the humor, again, is so, like, it's so cringy and childish, but at the same time it's also so funny. And again, hearing, like, the humor and the sarcasm and the way that they deliver the lines just made this reading experience so much better. And again, it got to the certain point where I could not stop listening to it. I read or listened to 75% of this book in a day. Love this book. I know I need to read the rest of the series, and I will get to it eventually. But yeah, love this book. I think it's great, and I do recommend the audiobook because it is a really great audiobook. Then the last thing of audiobooks, I have not finished this series yet. I'm getting there. And I feel like reading this in audiobook form made this series, like, absolutely worth it. I mean, yeah. Obviously, you spend 2 minutes on any sort of bookish social media, you're going to hear about Sarah J. Maas, and you're going to hear about this series, the ACOTAR series, very, very quickly. It is a very popular series. It's a very well-known series. And I feel like it is a very, like, it does have a lot of mixed reviews. There are some people who absolutely love this series, my coworker being one of them. But then there's also people who just cannot stand it, cannot stand Sarah J. Maas and her writing, and it's just not for them, which is totally fine. But I decided that if I was going to listen to it, I was going to listen to the graphic audio, which, if you don't know, the graphic audio is very similar to how None of This Is True was produced. It's a multiple cast of narrators, there's sound effects. It's basically a movie, but without the visuals, pretty much. And that made the experience so much better. Because again, I feel like I would have loved this series, or what I've read of it so far. I'm currently on this book right now. I'm about 25% of the way through, so I haven't finished it yet. Definitely think I would have liked this, but I think having that extra oomph of the multiple narrators, the sound effects, and just the amazing quality of the audiobooks, because actually I was originally the first couple of pages I did listen to it on the regular audiobook on Audible, and it was fine, but I was I'm just gonna try the graphic audio, and I haven't looked back. I probably am going to read all of Sarah J. Maas's books in graphic audio form if they're available, obviously. But yeah, it's an amazing series so far, and I definitely feel like the graphic audio makes it so much better. And if you feel like you're reading these books and if you feel like you can love it but it's not quite hitting, try the graphic audio form if you have it available to you, because it makes the experience so much more personalized, so much more fun, and I just really enjoy it. So that concludes my video of some of the audiobooks that I have really loved over the last year. There have definitely been a lot of other audiobooks that I have listened to that I have enjoyed, but these are the ones that just stick out to me, not only because I really enjoyed the listening experience, but I also really enjoyed the books itself. So be sure to check out my other videos. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your favorite audiobooks. If you are an audiobook listener, which ones do you like and would recommend to me? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.